Afternoon, Coach. How you doing?
Good, John. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. Between you and me, can you tell me who you're planning on starting on Saturday and how you came to that decision?
Yeah, we'll probably start. Yeah, I mean, as long as everybody wakes up tomorrow feeling good, we'll probably start our starting lineup that we finished our season with last year with Nneka and Candace up front, Tierra at the wing, and Raquana and Chelsea at the guards. Yeah, I mean, in terms of the process, I think all of those players are, in a good place and conditioning wise, feeling pretty good. And they've had some time as a group. They've been on the court together for a lot of minutes a season ago, and hopefully that'll help us to get off to a solid start. With a little bit of continuity in that first unit.
Megan Hines, Swab Report.
Hi, Derek. I just wanted to ask about how today's practice went, and how you guys are feeling heading into tomorrow's game.
Yeah, I mean, today's practice was good. I mean, there was some things to cover, make sure we feel as prepared as possible. But 3:00 will come fast tomorrow. We definitely didn't want to overdo it. We wanted to ensure that we'd show up tomorrow and everybody would be available, or at least as many bodies as possible. And so, practice was designed that way. And we feel good. I mean, there's going to be a lot that we have to work through and figure out on the fly. But I think overall, we're in a good place, and it'll be fun to get the season started tomorrow afternoon. And I think we're thankful and grateful for the opportunity.
Time for two more. We'll go to David Yapkowitz with Next Hoops.
Hey, Derek. How are you?
I'm good, David. How are you?
Good.
David, I think you're having a volume issue. Can you try one more time to ask your question?
I'm just a little curious, with your big three, Candace, Chelsea, Nneka, how much more do you think, you might be relying on them, if at all, in terms of their leadership, because, that's the core group that won the title a few years ago.
Yeah, no, the three of those players, everything we hope to do this year will revolve a lot around those three, not in terms of, stats and scoring and numbers, but their leadership, their personalities, I think setting the example for, other players on our team. We have some young players that look up to those three. And so, they are followed with that in mind. And, I think that, Christy Tolliver's, return was, started with those three. The four of those players having a level of relationship and trust with each other that led to, Christy really feeling comfortable about coming back to LA. And so even though she's not here with us, to tip off the season, we really are establishing a culture about who we are and what we want to get accomplished. And Chelsea, Candace, and Nneka are really the leaders of that in a lot of regards.
Last question for Coach. Go to Pavi with H&B Media.
Hey, Coach, how are you?
Good. How you doing, Pavi?
I'm good. As far as minutes tomorrow, it being at that, it was such a long layoff. You can have a preconceived notion of how much you want to play everybody, or will it be something that you'll gauge when you get into the game? Yeah,
I mean, I think a little bit of preconceived in terms of, for sure, not wanting to overextend anyone, starting out. I think that we have to really be smart. These ladies haven't played basketball in quite some time, and so we have to be smart with the minutes at the beginning of the season. So preconceived from that standpoint, for sure. But we'll also see kind of how things play out and how players look. And some of our players that are in good condition, and, if they can play a number of minutes that would allow us to have a chance to win, that doesn't get beyond what puts them at risk for injury in this first game, I think we have a responsibility to do it. We do want to win. as many games as possible. But we want to do it in a way that respects how hard it's going to be for our players to operate at their highest levels, in particular at the beginning.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
We will start with Brady Klopfer with SB Nation.
Candace, you've talked a few times throughout camp about how being in the bubble is helpful for you physically to not have to get on planes, not have to commute to practice, things like that. With the season now set to start, can you just tell us how you're feeling physically?
Yeah, I feel good. I mean, technically it's an away game tomorrow, and we're gonna get on a bus for 15 minutes and ride from where we are here, and then after do the same thing. So for me, I think recovery, just not as much commute, which is taking off pressure on my back. So I feel good going into this. I mean, shoot, we have 7 days and we're playing 4 games, so it'll be nice not to have to travel.
Michelle Vopel, ESPN.
Hi, Candace. Can you give us a sense of how it feels to you to be part of this, if you will, the restart of sports? I mean, being on ABC tomorrow, a game between two of the original WNBA franchises, with the hunger I think there is for sports, what does that mean to you first? And then second, what do you think rivalry games will be like, if you will, when you're not going to each other's gym? I mean, you think of Phoenix and LA fans having the rivalry, but it's not going to have quite that same feeling. So will it still feel the same in a way just because of the familiarity of players, or not?
Interesting. It does mean a lot to be a part of sports restart. It definitely validated my decision to play in the bubble, just because with all the uncertainty, like, we're pulling this off and it's going according to plan. And I think to be able to play the game of basketball, and for us to be in this situation, and then also just for all the fans to have this back, we definitely don't take it for granted. And then secondly, it's interesting because on television, I argue with Shaq all the time that, like, if you're competitive, it doesn't matter if it's home court, away, whatever in the playoffs. Like, people get into arguments and fights and get serious in pickup games. So I don't think it's going to change rivalries and playing different individuals. If you're a competitor, it doesn't matter if the gym is full or not. You're gonna bring it.
Tupni Nguyen with the LA Times.
Hi, Candace. Obviously, I have a game tomorrow, but I did see something on Twitter recently about the Social Justice Council organizing a webinar with Breonna Taylor's mother and Stacey Abrams. I don't know if you heard about that or you were kind of involved, but what have you heard, or if you were involved or attended, like, what did you kind of get out of that experience?
It's extremely impactful. I think the WNBA right now, just being able to have that platform and hear them speak, and to understand that, like, any one of us could have been Breonna Taylor. And so although we wear Breonna Taylor's name on the back of our jersey, it represents so many other different African-American women that have been killed by the police. And so I really feel strongly about making sure when we step out on the floor and when we're out there, we're carrying ourselves in that way and making it known that, it's super important to us.
John W. Davis, Winsider.
Hi, Candace. How's it going? Good. With a day before the season, how would you describe the state of your relationship with your head coach, Derek Fisher, and what have you done to get it to where it is now?
It took me a minute, after last year and how it ended. But for me, there's not too many days left of playing basketball. And I know, we are in the spotlight and we are out there. So when you see different individuals that work with each other have issues, in some ways it's no different than organizations, employees, different things like that have problems. So it took me a minute once we talked. I'm one of those that it's between him and I, and we'll see how it goes this year. I'm a big communicator and I just want the same. And so that's kind of where we left off, where just communicate and make it known what you want, and I'll go out there and produce.
Last question, Miriam Swanson, LA Daily News.
Hey there, Candace. Good luck tomorrow. Wondered if you saw Kalani's post today, and if that kind of just sort of drives home the dangers that are still exist there for COVID.
Definitely, you know, I found out a couple weeks ago, and I have reached out and checked on her. I'm so glad that, you know, she's doing okay. My daughter and her are really, really good friends. So Layla was worried about her and checking in, but I'm glad that, you know, she's doing well, and she's gonna be okay, and hopefully, you know, she'll get negative tests and can get back and, you know, get to playing for her team. Because I think all of us that came here, you know, you just want to play basketball, and you just want to be healthy.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Tukni Nguyen with the LA Times.
Hi, Nneka. I just asked Candace about this, but we heard that there was a webinar organized with Breonna Taylor's mother for different players. And what did you kind of get from that experience? And for you to go out on the court tomorrow representing Breonna Taylor on your jersey, what does that mean for you as you kind of restart sports right now?
I mean, it was the exact conversation that I needed to have going into this weekend of games. You know, we haven't played in so long, and it felt like, you know, it would be forever before we played. But once things started rolling, you know, it just kind of happened. Like, we're here and it's happening. But we're here for a much bigger purpose. And it was just such an honor to be in a conversation with Miss Lanita, with Miss Palmer, with Professor Crenshaw, with obviously Stacey Abrams. It was a remarkable moment, and I think it gave a lot of the players that motivation that they needed, as maybe as a reminder or just as simple motivation to understand that we're really playing this season for a much bigger purpose.
Brady Klopp for SB Nation.
Nneka, in Coach Fisher's second season here, I'm just wondering, after, you know, a little bit of a disappointing end to last season, where does it feel like the team is, both with schematically and with regards to chemistry and relationships and whatnot? How do you feel the team has grown as you start this second season compared to where you ended the first season?
Well, I think that with, you know, the circumstances and only 2 weeks under our belt, we're off to a great start. You know, I feel as though the trust is building. I feel as though we're building the culture that we needed to kind of build that foundation that the Sparks has always had when we're very successful. That, in addition to the new pieces, has been quite amazing. I like where this team is going, and I'm happy to be on the Sparks, as always, but even more so than ever with Fish and LT and the staff that we have here. I wouldn't want it to be any other way, and I look forward to seeing how much we grow, not just as a team, but as people in, you know, in what this season ended up being.
Michelle Vopel, ESPN.
Hi, Nneka. You know, you haven't really ever talked much about personally just the sheer amount of time you had to put into this season, because I know as president you just accepted that. But is there something even maybe extra special for you, knowing how many Zoom calls, how much you guys had to do, that you're going to be on ABC tomorrow and part of this, you know, reopening of sports, and what that means to you, you know, to be part of that?
You know, there's a lot of gratitude that I have being in this position. I think 5 months of not playing and not really knowing how life would be, it grounded me in a lot of ways. And then also being involved in every step of the way with CBA negotiations, and then being involved in every step of the way with trying to structure this season in the middle of the pandemic. It was probably the hardest thing I've gone through professionally. And to be here, it feels surreal in a lot of ways, but it's extremely gratifying as well. I don't speak a lot on my own kind of personal experience when it comes to, you're right, Michelle, like when it comes to these things, because I know that I have a role. But I've had some time to reflect and to be proud of what the union and our executive committee and these players have done to get to this point and what we want this season to be. To be honest, you know, everyone can ask me questions about how are you going to play or is your percentage going to be good? But to be honest, I really don't care about those questions because we've gone through something these last 5 months and we continue to go something while we're here that makes basketball so trivial, but it doesn't mean that we can't use the love of our game to express our passion and ourselves and our oneness as WNBA players. And that's the mindset that I have right now.
All right. Thank you so much, Nneka.
Thanks, everyone.